Alright guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Motivation to Change podcast. My name's Sean, and today's guest we have the owner and founder of the Wossobama gym in Ayr, and he's got quite a lot of accolades under his belt, which we'll get talking about. Please welcome Alan Currie.
Hi there, how you doing, Sean?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well, yeah.
How's life treating you?
Different perspectives, different angles, but in general, pretty good. Always moving forwards. Obviously, I've got the gym, but I do quite a few other things within my life. So always busy, always pushing forward and staying motivated at all times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the main reasons I wanted you on was I seen you put up a post on Facebook a couple of days ago with about 700 things that you've, like, courses and just achievements, and I was like, I need to get him on. There's more than meets the eye.
I mean, obviously a lot of people see me from the angle of Wossobama gym and Muay Thai, which to be honest is exactly what I'm not. Although that's a lot of people's perceptions, and I've been in the forefront of martial arts, Muay Thai, Wossobama gym. I've had that since 1997. So, but I've got a fantastic team, and the team that are underneath me run the gym very successfully, and for which I'm very grateful for. And I do a lot of stuff in the background, that as does my wife and Rhea. So, but with that, there's a lot of other things at play. I always push forwards, quite creative and ambitious as well, but personal development's one of the key points.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll dive into all that as we go on.
Yeah.
I'd like to start off with your kind of the very early years, your upbringing, where you were born.
Right.
There.
I was born come from Mulgai, born in Glasgow, raised in Mulgai, and I moved a few times round about Mulgai, and then I moved up into the country, into Drimmen, near Loch Lomond. Latterly for a short period up near Aberfoyle, and then I came back into Anniesland to do psychiatric nurse training at Gartnavel Royal. So my upbringing was going through a couple of schools, a couple of primary schools and 2 secondary schools. So moved slightly from pillar to post, if you like, which kind of an effect in people, which certainly affected me, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, and how big an effect was that?
I think it was quite the primary school change was kind of halfway through, so that wasn't your kind of early years. That doesn't really affect you, I don't think, but it didn't affect me greatly. Secondary school, I'd finished third year, and then I had moved about 20 miles and changed school and went into a country school, so I had to get the school bus 5 miles to the school, sort of thing. So that was more impactful because I was going into fourth year. So trying to fit in and that kind of thing was tricky, I would say, especially at that age group. Nobody really knows who they are at that point in life either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And apart from that, how was your kind of upbringing? Was it a happy kind of?
My upbringing was quite relaxed. My mum and dad were very chilled, pretty relaxed, weren't forceful in any way. That kind of thing. My dad he was self-employed, so he was kind of rolled up in his business, which went kind of sideways at one point as well. When we changed in secondary school and moved from house. So went from a bought house and ended up in a rented house, getting thrown out of houses, that kind of thing. And business went down the tubes over a period of a couple of years.
Yeah, and with your kind of social upbringing, that must have been quite hard with, like, meeting new friends and stuff like that, and then you had to kind of move to a different scenery. Meet new friends as well.
Socially, yeah. I mean, obviously, everybody goes through even worse situation, but from an impact point of view, yeah, because you're having to change, create new friends. A lot of the old friends you kind of maybe lose ways with, and it does take a period of time to get into new friendships. So, yeah. It was tricky, but it did happen. And then towards the end of fifth year, I actually had a really positive experience. So it was a good ending, and then left school in fifth year.
Good stuff. Now, you've mentioned the Wossobama gym, and that you've done Muay Thai kind of martial arts. When did you get into that?
Probably mid-teens, I would say, late teens, going towards that area. I wasn't an early developer in any ways. I also ran as well. I actually started martial arts because I was getting injured at running. I was a really good runner from probably age of 17 onwards. Ended up running for Scotland. Ran a 409 mile, ran 28:29 for a 10k, which is pretty fast. Was fastest under 23-year-old in Scotland. But the problem with the running was every time you're striking your feet, you're obviously impacting the ground. Therefore, I was pronating and I was getting problems with my shins, shin splints, compartment syndrome, different things like that, stress fractures. So I ended up getting into martial arts, and believe it or not, I get less injured doing martial arts, even full contact fighting, than I did doing proper athletic running training. I had more injuries running than I've ever had in martial arts.
That's saying something.
Which is incredible. But if you're running at a certain speed and at a certain level, any time off means your speed and your time goes down. So you're either taking brufen or you're taping it up, or you're going to see a physio, or you're getting kind of put back together so you can maintain some degree of fitness. So I ended up taking that fitness into a swimming pool and doing running in a swimming pool, doing triathlon training, and then went into martial arts so that I could do more mobility and flexibility. And then I found Muay Thai, and then my instructor at that time, John Craig, who's remained my kind of father figure. He's always been there and pushed me on, sort of thing. So Muay Thai was very addictive at that time, and I was very fit when I went into Muay Thai. So learning that skill set was the thing for me to do. I had the fitness, just had to learn the skill set.
Yeah. And was Muay Thai the first martial arts you get into, or did you?
I started with semi-contact or no contact, Taekwondo, which is like Taekwondo. I won a British bronze at that, even though you're not allowed to hit anybody. Kind of lost marks for maybe over contact. I started with that. I did some other sort of JKD type thing and a bit of boxing, kickboxing, and then fell into Muay Thai, and then got pretty addicted to that pretty quickly.
Amazing. And how did that with doing Muay Thai? Did you get into like the competitions straight away? Were there a plan of just doing it to keep fit, or did you want to be competitive?
What we did was we did some grades. So we did completely different the competition, but it would also give you an elevation in the armband status, if you like. And then we moved into competition by doing interclub sparring, which was kind of heavier sparring, especially if you went down, because at that time there was no clubs locally really. So my instructor John Craig took us down. We would travel down to Bolton, down to Sandy Hawkes, or down to another instructor's master Skens or whatever, and do an interclub there. So it was an interclub heavy sparring, but it was pretty much Scotland versus England. So it was hardcore.
Heavy Hudson.
It was as good as a fight, put it that way. Fantastic. But once you go in the ring and you do have a fight, I mean, not a lot of people go in the ring and fight, which is fine. You're talking maybe, I would say, maybe between 2 and 4% of the nation or Thai boxers will actually win. A lot of people, 95% plus, probably just do fitness, martial arts, skill set, learning good practical self-defences. Very few people want to take it into the ring and get punched in the face, because you are trying to knock somebody out.
Yeah. And do you think you were a kind of born fighter? Were you happy enough to go in and get punched in the face, or when that kind of you were going to do that, you were a bit nervous?
Nerves is massive. I mean, I deal with nerves every day with my new kind of career, which is hypnosis, but dealing with the fight, flight, or freeze, which is very relevant to fighting, getting punched in the face, whether you can react in a certain way, or if you're sparring, or that kind of But the nerves, and it's one of those things, all fighters, unless somebody's on a different spectrum, maybe psychotic, they maybe don't feel nerves, but I would say all fighters feel nerves. If they don't feel nerves, they can learn to control their nerves through experience. And if you go in the ring and you win more and more, then it just becomes more natural. But most people have nerves. And if they've not got nerves at the start, then they're probably lying.
Yeah.
So I would say I was a nervous character, definitely.
Yeah. And at this point, did you have any ambitions or goals on what you wanted to do as a career? And at that point, was martial arts or anything like that a factor?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because it was one of those when I was training to be a psychiatric nurse, an RMN, registered mental nurse, but I wanted to be a full-time runner. That was like, well, how can you be a full-time runner? But at that time, I wanted to be the next Seb Coe, the next Steve Ovett, the next Steve Cram. That was my ambition. So it wasn't about the money. It was just about survival. And even when I qualified, my nurse and I went on to the thru, and I just trained twice a day, and I lived in £40 a week to then become a good level runner. But then injury got in the way. Then I started doing fighting, but at the same time as doing martial arts and whatnot, I was actually studying, and I was a qualified aerobics instructor. So there was a definite crossover there, because on one hand, I could go down the road of a Muay Thai fighter, which, to be honest with you, there's no money in Muay Thai fighting, unless you're maybe, if you're on UFC, then you're in MMA, and you're maybe, if you can get to that level, but very few people can get to that level. So I had a choice one day, because I was doing an aerobics workshop where I was teaching 100 instructors who taught aerobics, and I'd been asked to teach this seminar, and it was 3 aerobics-based seminars for aerobics instructors, and I was getting pretty decent money for it. And the day before that, I was fighting for a Scottish Muay Thai title, for the welterweight title. So I won the title, stopped the guy, didn't come out in the 4th round, won the Scottish belt, and got a payment of £15 back in the day, which pretty much bought me my dinner.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. And then the next day I got some real money teaching aerobics. So I was at a crossroads there of, do you want to get injured and continue fighting? Because you're definitely going to get injured at one point, probably. Or do you want to maybe make a career in teaching aerobics and fitness, and maybe going down personal training routes, that kind of field, which is the angle that I chose more than the fight game.
Yeah, and when you made that decision, was it the aerobics straight away that you just wanted to do, or did you want to cross both together?
Well, I'm one of those people that are like, if you want to do something, go and do it. So if I wanted to cross over and do running, triathlon, Muay Thai, aerobics, nurse and all in a winner, then that's just exactly what I was going to do, which is what I did. Then obviously bits of it get severed off, and I actually gave nursing up, and then focused more on martial arts as well as aerobics. So I did that for quite a period of time and built both of them up, as well as personal training. I was doing aerobics, step Reebok, step aerobics was very big back in the day, as well as doing martial arts and building up those classes. But that then gave me the ability to create, which was my ambition, was to create a job for myself. Because it was one of those things people would say, well, when are you going to get a real job? Whatever that means.
Yeah. And before Wossobama Gym, did you know what that job was, or was it just what you just said, just kind of doing different things and just kind of seeing what fitted best?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, that comes down to internal drive in people and motivation. You know, thought equals action, action equals results, sort of thing. So I've never had an issue with, you know, even trying to run a 4-minute mile back in the day, or try to run a 10K as fast as you can. That type of thing. That's all mindset, and it's the same as people saying, "Oh, I can't get there, or I don't know how to do this, or I can't quite." There's loads of ways of making excuses. And there's loads of ways of sitting back and not doing stuff. And there's loads of ways of just sitting back and criticising maybe, I don't know, Anthony Joshua last weekend, that type of thing. You know, there's loads of armchair critics out there, but there's not that many folk that are in the ring fighting them. So motivation is the key to everything. If you can be motivated to get out of your bed, if you can be motivated to make your bed, if you can be motivated to have a successful day, that may just be that you've had a great day and you've worked in Asda's and you've had a fantastic day because it's just went really well, or you've run 4 multinational companies and you're a millionaire and you've not had much hassle that day. Motivation is the creation of success. Motivation is the key to everything, 100 doors and more.
Yeah, definitely. I think the way I look at it is that's how it's called motivation to change. Is you have to kind of be motivated in some way to change, but I think it can only get you so far. You then need kind of willpower and like mindset to keep going. It's like a short-term loan.
Yes, it's a great way to link onto hypnosis, which I study more and more now, and I've been doing that for quite a few years. Because with that, all I'm doing is basically take somebody down, not even talking to their conscious mind, I'm going straight to the subconscious. So you basically a mind mechanic, go and work with the subconscious and then let them go. And then if it's motivation that was required, motivation is found and multiplied tenfold.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, where did the idea come from doing the Wossobama gym? What was the initial nutshell on that you wanted to have a facility?
Well, the main factor, I'll be blunt with this one, is we were in the Mercure Hotel. I can't remember what it's called before that, but the classes were too busy and they basically said you need to leave because we were renting the facility. And I rented halls all over Ayrshire at the time, promoting Muay Thai and building Muay Thai, Darvel, Kilmarnock, Cumnock, Mooseblowen, Ayr, Troon, Girvan, Maybole, loads of places. So the Ayr classes had basically got to the point where we'd went into this hotel, we'd rented out their hall, kids were running amok, they didn't like it, and I was trying to find a hall. So at the time, I'd managed to find, it was the Ayr Scouts, and they were basically saying, well, we don't want to rent the hall because we want to sell the hall because the Scouts aren't really functioning anymore. Feel free to come and have a look. But at that point, now you're talking pre-1997, just before that, you know, I didn't have any money at that point. I didn't have any significant money, you know, people had credit cards, that type of thing. So going in to try and buy a building and come up with 30% deposit was certainly tricky. It's easy to look at it now, but people maybe they don't realise or they see what they want to see now. But I was in a bed sit. Although I owned the bed sit, I stayed in a bed sit till I was 30. It was one of my bed sits because I got the flat, rented the rooms out. But it was more economical for me to stay in one of my rooms and rent the other 2 out to pay the mortgage and make some profit.
Yeah.
That then allowed me to facilitate trying to get funding together and, well, credit cards to get deposits.
And
wherever there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you managed to pull it off.
Yeah.
Now, was it at the early start of the Wossobama gym? In fact, where did you get the name from?
Well, it basically means West of Scotland School of Boxing and Martial Arts. That's the big name for it. As time developed, we changed it on to just Wossobama, and then to make it more mainstream gym-like, to try and cross over from martial arts into fitness, we just added gym in, so it became Wossobama Gym. Now we've added the tagline, a unique facility for learning martial arts and fitness.
Awesome.
So,
and at the early years, so the Wossobama, was it just designed for Muay Thai? And the first couple of years, did you add anything else into it, or was it just for Muay Thai
No, well, at the start, the real story is there was a partnership at the start between myself and another chap called Alan Bell. He runs a fitness place in here as well. So that didn't go that well, that partnership, and we severed ties. And then I continued to develop Wossobama. But the main game of Wossobama back in the day was to create an umbrella and have different martial arts within it, which we still do have. Back in the day, we had Aikido. Graham Leggett was in with his stuff as well. We had Muay Thai with ourselves. Dan Robbins come in as well. Many people have come in, and over the years, Ricky Wellerson, he does the boxing. Andy Wilson, he does the MMA, and we've obviously developed the gym into, we've got full-time members of staff as well as having freelance members of staff over the years. So it's always pushed forwards, but sometimes it just takes a wee bit of time, and then you think, well, let's see what angles we can push for now.
Yeah. So was that, do you feel that it was quite a slow process? Just like year after year, it started kind of progressing and getting better and better.
Yeah, it's slow, but if you open a facility and you don't have the money, it's slow because you can't automatically make it what you want it to make it.
Yeah.
As money and time develops, then you can obviously put changes in as required and as you can afford them. So same with any business. Obviously, somebody's wanting to, they've maybe got a vision, but they don't have the money. If somebody's got the desire, they'll make it happen.
Yeah. No, fantastic. It's amazing that you've just wanting to do that you've managed to kind of do something that's been kept going and it's still been busy as ever.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. And myself, I've attended Wossobama Gym quite a lot over the years. So
and then you're into magic now, is that the?
Yes. I just kind of saying back when I was 22, I was kind of the same as yourself. My first passion was wrestling.
Right.
I wanted to be a professional wrestler, and I went to a wrestling school and stuff like that. And then my daughter came along, and I had to kind of not do it. And then I thought I'll try and do something else because the school was away in Glasgow, and I started doing different bits of martial arts round about that point. And I think that was a bit of a crossroads for me. And then for some weird reason, I watched Dynamo, and I went, "Oh, I might try that," and just and it's one of the things where it's just happened. So, but you never know what the future holds for you.
That's completely it. Yeah,
definitely.
Again, if you watch Dynamo, you're quite inspired. I went to see his stage show up in Glasgow, and some of the stuff he does is fantastic.
Yeah, no, that definitely is. It's crazy. And with, like, for example, like magic, before that I was never interested in it.
Right.
I kept thinking back then it was like old people with hats and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I liked the whole kind of close-up stuff, and I thought it was quite cool. And I thought, right, I'll try and get a pack of cards and that. So it was a on and off hobby, and then it got to a point where I was like, I might try it. So, but there we go. And
I've watched some of your videos at the weddings that you've done locally, so it looks really good, very good.
Yeah, definitely. If you're, hopefully you're not getting married anytime soon, but any parties, there's a wee plug in for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. But yeah, no, enough about me. But with the Wossobama Gym, when it first started kind of opening, were you still fighting or competing, or were you just now a trainer?
Well, that's a good question, because that's a question that every fighter / trainer has to make at one point, because the two don't mix very well if you're trying to cut weight, train hard, train all day, that type of thing, as well as train other people and be happy and pass on that happiness and motivation, because sometimes you can be a little cranky. If you got that mind focus and dedication. So, and if you're paying bills, or if you need to pay rent and a mortgage or that type of thing, or all those other avenues of life that people fall into, then you do need to make a couple of conscious decisions at one point or another.
Yeah.
Plus, if you get hurt properly in fighting, which you can do, break a bone or whatever, then it's not so easy to personal train people. So I made that conscious decision. I'd won a Scottish title when I was like, yep, I can utilise that. I've got a taste of it. I've done it. Got a few injuries to go with it. Let's just try and look at lifespan as well, and the ability to keep on going and train people and earn your living that way.
Yeah, definitely, and it's going really well with just everything with like the build of the Wossobama gym, and then people coming in through the doors, and as it's grown and seeing new fighters, it must have been a really exciting experience for you as well, because you are training new people, and
Yeah.
then what you had, you're kind of giving it to them as well in a way, if that makes sense.
And a lot of things moved forwards as well. You know, there are more fighters, there's more folk training, more folk are coming through the doors, and then the ability just to pass on that information as well to people, and develop things as well, because fight shows have developed in the last, I've ran Martial Mayhem fight show for about, I don't know, 20 years nearly, and then I've passed that whole show on to two of my loyal staff that work with me, Paul Kelly and Ali Smith. So they now run Martial Mayhem, and hopefully that's going to be relit soon after COVID. Obviously with the fight shows just now, things are slightly up in the air, I would say, with folk either buying tickets or coming along, or fighters, or what's right and what's wrong, and whether COVID's going to be flaring up again number-wise, nobody knows. So to plan a fight show is quite a tricky thing, but no, that's one of those side things that happened as a byproduct of more folk coming into the gym, being able to run a very successful fight show for many, many years down at the Citadel.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and is it one or two shows a year you were doing?
I did up to 3 shows a year, but what people don't realise is that you need to plan a show for about 3 months in advance. And what you're really selling is a cake that comes together on that day. So if the doctors have an accident, or the ring doesn't turn up, or something else happens, there's a lot of logistical things that can go wrong for a fight show. I've had fighters that they've not got on the plane in France, and my fighters just weighed in at Glasgow airport at 10 o'clock at night and fighting the next day, and they've sold 70 tickets. And you're trying to say to them, listen, your guy's not got on the plane for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that can go wrong in a fight show. And to me, I'd run my course in that sense. So it was time to pass the baton on to Ali and Paul.
Yeah. And when was that kind of transition of kind of you stepping aside slightly and letting, because I know back 10, maybe nearly 10 years ago, when I first went into Wossobama, the main face was Ali Smith.
Yeah.
What was the kind of decision to kind of take a wee step back from it?
It was more from the point of view that another member of staff had come on board as well, about 6 years ago. So Billy McCann. So Billy's been really motivational and really helpful for me as well as Paul Kelly and Ali. So these guys have really, they are the backbone to the gym. So before that, me and my wife ran the gym for many, many years. And right back at the start, you are the janitor, you're the person giving out flyers, you're painting the building, you're doing whatever you need to do, you're teaching the classes, you do everything. And then as time comes up on us, and Ali, who trained with me up, he was 13, 14 years old as a young lad. And then he came to work with me, I think he was about 19, that kind of age. So he's been with me for many years. So the transition, part of the transition was that the kind of gym is more running itself. And and then it was a crossover of here's the Marshall Mayhem event, continue the good work. And at that point, or round about that point, me and my family actually moved to Fuerteventura. We stayed over there for 15 months.
Oh, right, okay.
So we had a holiday home there for 10 years, so we just went over there. I'd been trying to go over there more and more, to be honest with you. It's a better style of life. So we decided after a summer just to keep on going. Brexit was happening, so we wanted to kind of Brexit-proof ourselves for the future. So we became Spanish residents as well.
Oh, right, okay.
We put the two kids, we've got two boys, AJ and Jack, so they went into a local school, mainstream Spanish school, without speaking the language, just threw them in the Shark Tank, and they did really well.
Oh, amazing.
They learned Spanish, we learned Spanish, tried to, and then just tried to make the most of life over there as well. But then COVID kicked in over there, obviously, as well. It's quite a harsh lockdown in Spain. Military style, so if you went out the door, then you had to have a really good reason. You went to the shops, you had to have a receipt. If you went out without a mask, it was €300 fine. So that was pretty stiff. 98 days stuck in the house, sort of thing.
Yeah. It would have been, because you hear like different places that, especially with COVID and that and lockdown, that things were easy, but other places was really strict. We could
only shop in one supermarket, the local one, 800 metres from the house. You couldn't go to the one that was a kilometre away because that wasn't your local one. They could maybe have 9 police with weapons at a roundabout. They could have military out at night in the streets. So if you were a family of 4 and 4 of you went out, you didn't have to wear your mask on your face at that point. But if you didn't have a mask on you, it was €300 per person. Fine. If you walked your dog more than 50 metres from the house for a pee-pee, then it was €1,500 fine, and people were getting fined. So people stayed in their house and did exactly as they were told.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
Over here, I think the first couple of months people really took it serious, and then I think as soon as it started easing, people just went nuts, and then people tried to go back into the way of things, and I think quite a lot of people just didn't bother, and they just felt like, oh, we're in lockdown, but there's so many people walking their dogs that you've never seen walk their dogs now.
Yeah, exactly. But I had some positives from that, but over there in Spain was harsh. That was a harsh lockdown. The cleanest place in the world was the beach, but you weren't allowed to go to the beach. You were only allowed to go to the beach when they relaxed the lockdown after 98 days, and that was the very day that the school finished. So that was slightly better.
Yeah. One question I want to ask is, where did you meet your wife, and how long have you both been together?
We've been together for nearly 30 years. We met in a night out, a gym night out sort of thing, a Thai boxing night out, and started from there. Got married in Vegas, just the two of us. We went over and did a drive-through marriage ceremony in Vegas.
Oh, very nice.
We did a week in Vegas. We just couldn't, the hassle of either a ceremony or a big wedding or a big party, it just wasn't really us. So it was more personal for us. It probably meant more as well. Yeah. So we got some money, went to Vegas. It's cost $95 to do a drive-through wedding ceremony. Pretty much like McDonald's, you make your order at one window, tell them what you want, and do you want a religious ceremony or do you just want a wee chat? And then you go to the next window. Reverend Joe, he opens up the window and gives us his speech, and then you're married, and you're officially married, and you need a wee certificate from the county clerk's office. But yeah, legit, a fantastic way to get married.
That's crazy. That's fantastic. And in fact, big question, where did you go after it?
Well, to be honest, what we did was we went there, we were going to get married. So we'd arrived, and the next day we thought we'll take a wee drive downtown. Andrea likes driving abroad. everywhere. So we'd taken a drive downtown just for a wee look about, and we went to get our licence from the county clerk's office. And it just so happened we pulled in as somebody says, here's a ticket, I've got a spare ticket. So it saved us money for parking. Went in, I think it was $50 at the county clerk's office for your sort of registration. And then we thought, we'll go for a wee look about, because there was loads of wee marriage, wee chapel bits and wee ceremony halls and churches or whatever you may call them. And then we seen this one, thought, I like the look of that one. It was quite early in the morning, so we drove up just to inquire, and then the girl said, yeah, I mean, Reverend Joe, he's not here just now, he's in his garden, but I can make a call if you want it to happen now. And we were like, yeah, go for it. So we just sat for 20 minutes or whatever, did the details, and then he's like, right, that's him here. And then he opened the window, moved up to the next window and did the ceremony. Vegas, there's a time difference there. So Vegas was kind of, your head was a bit scrambled. And Vegas itself is very scrambling, because even going from one hotel, if you walk from one hotel and you come down and you get to the foyer, the reception desks, maybe 200 foot wide, they're massive. And there's maybe a shopping centre and 5 bars and 3 restaurants and loads of stuff in that hotel. So by the time you get to the street, you can maybe have spent 30 minutes just walking from your room. So Vegas is a head pickler. We went to a fight show as well. I'm not sure if it was that night or not, but we did an MMA fight show. Went in just to see the top sort of card, the main events.
Awesome.
Driving about, did loads in Vegas, mega place. We don't gamble. We gambled about, I think, $5 each.
That's one place that's in my bucket list, is to go to Las Vegas.
Mega.
So, I might ask the missus if you want to go for a drive-thru and see what she says.
Aye. Well, you'll save a fortune.
I know.
You've got that. I mean, you've got all your outlets. You can buy clothes if you want to do that. If you can just drive up and down the strip, you can do down to Old Town. We did a zip line right down Fremont Street. It's absolutely mega. There's loads of bits you can go and visit, and the more you go out with the strip, the more you can see the real sort of Vegas. There's a lot of different sides to Vegas rather than just the strip. But even just at night time, you're thinking, right, what will I do tonight? Will you who are you going to see? You're going to see Elton John tonight, or the Osmonds, or it's mind blowing.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And nearly 30 years.
Yeah, we've been together a long time.
Nearly the same age as me. Now, with doing the Wossobama gym, it's been growing. There's like Muay Thai, there's Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, all that kind of stuff. You then kind of took a step back. How did the idea of doing hypnosis and stuff like that, how did that kind of start off, and what was the initial idea for that?
Right. To be honest, initially there wasn't an idea. Initially, before Wossobama and all that, I trained as a psychiatric nurse, so but psychology and whatnot I was always interested in. Fighters' corners and mindset for motivation for gym, losing weight, changing body shape, or getting in the ring and fighting, or just being a better person has always interested me. And then I've been studying over the last probably 6 years NLP, CBT, life coaching. Done a few of those courses, quite a few of those courses now. Body language, hypnosis, and then the one that's really stuck with me is hypnosis over the last 6 years. So I've developed that more and more, done more courses, done kinetic shifts, I've done other traditional hypnosis courses, and I'm now part of a worldwide organisation with 1,800 hypnotists in the forum. So that's probably the biggest hypnosis academy and course worldwide, which is the main thing I've been studying of late. So it's about my 6th hypnosis course. The reason for the hypnosis, though, you could do 15 weeks or 15 months of life coaching or CBT, peeling back the onion layers of people's really asking personal questions. But hypnosis somebody can come in for hypnosis with me and they don't even need to tell me what the problem is. The words and the style of hypnosis that I use is, I mean, it's fluffy, but it's so direct and it's working straight into the subconscious, you know, and it's allowing that subconscious, your subconscious, to find the answers. And then maybe you turn up a state where it's confidence, motivation, you're turning that up. You're maybe turning down negatives. You're maybe multiplying those positive things in the mindset, creating more confidence, more self-belief, more motivation, all those positives, as well as doing at the start a mental detox and rid of all the negative stuff, and then just package them up, cement it all up with positive anchors, which a lot of athletes and fighters use as well. You know, a lot of athletes use this for performance enhancement, which is something else that I do as well.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And when did you start actually kind of taking that a wee bit serious on getting clients? And
2 years now, yeah, 2 years.
2 years.
So,
awesome. And with the overview of what hypnosis, I know I'm not 100% know everything about hypnosis. I know obviously you can get like those stage hypnosis, like M2C or whatever else. But then you've got the kind of main hypnosis, what you're doing.
Yeah. So the two obvious ones is stage hypnosis, whereby you maybe see somebody, and it's one of those because people think, is it mind control or is it whatever? But I mean, stuff from the 1940s and 50s in the TV and the movies haven't really helped it, you know, if the swinging watch is there and mind control and that sort of thing. It's completely opposite. In fact, if somebody's hypnotized in a pure state of focus, the body maybe feels heavy, or certain parts of the body could be cataleptic, so that you could stick a hand to the face, whatever, just to convince the person and realize that they realize that they're open to suggestion. Stage hypnosis is all about maybe if somebody's doing the horse racing and kidding on they're on a horse, and they've said at the start, yes, I'm up for a laugh, I want to be hypnotized and I want to be part of the show. So it's certainly not mind control, because every single person that you ask, if it's stage, or if it's say in the street, or if it's therapeutic work, which is what I focus on, you need to ask the person, are you ready? Do you want to be hypnotized now? Are you ready to make these changes? Yes. So once you've done a few yes sets, we're ready to go. Stage hypnosis is very much, yep, sign me up, I'm up for a laugh. But if you say something in a stage show, even and somebody doesn't like it, or maybe it's an X-rated stage show, and somebody's mind will automatically just come out of hypnosis if they do not like, if it's going against what's called the critical faculty, if it goes against their grain, they will not do it. Right. You know, it's the same as if you say, and now, although you're feeling very, very relaxed now, what you're going to do is stand in the chair and do a backflip. No, I'm not. It will not happen. So there's no part of hypnosis that's actual mind control. We are hypnotizing people, and people that come through the door want to be hypnotized. Lawyers do legal stuff, painters paint things, hypnotists hypnotize people. The stigma that's attached to it is the stuff that it's not, which is, oh yeah, I don't want to quack like a duck and bark like a dog. Absolutely not.
And with the hypnotist, how is that when doing that? Is do you feel completely different from kind of doing that to what you're doing with either towards the Wossobama gym, or is it like a different feeling of what you're doing something different, that it's like a change kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go right to the nitty gritties of change, you know, if you take hypnosis, I mean, I've done Wossobama for 30 years, so all day, every day, I know every angle of the business. You know, so if you like, that's old hat, but it's my passion. It's part of me. Hypnosis is a new passion, as is jet skiing, but that's another story. But hypnosis is all about, for me, if I have somebody coming in from a therapeutic point of view, and they're at what's called the threshold of change, they want to change, you're ready to change, and it's going to happen now. They are at threshold ready. for me to then do that change work with them. And I don't do it from the point of view that it's like, oh, you need 3 sessions or you need 6 sessions. I'm not in this for the money. I'm in to help. Obviously, put a monetary figure beside the fee. Otherwise, I'd have everybody in. But if somebody wants to change and they're ready to change, and if I can bring somebody, say, from an anxiety point of view, somebody's having severe anxiety, there might be a 10 out of 10 in the anxiety, a SUD scale, and just imagining getting them down to a 1 or a 0, and then watch them walk out, coming in a bag of nerves and walking out totally happy, or having somebody who was suicidal, which I had just a few weeks ago, and telling you to your face, I don't want to be here. And then having that realization that they really don't want to be here. That's a tricky bag. Having that turned around and doing a good therapy session and then messaging them 1 week, 10 days later and saying, how are you? Thinking they might not be here, and then having a reply back saying, I think you've saved my life. That's worth more than anything.
Yeah.
That is a passion. For me at my age, I'm looking for fulfillment, contentment, all those types of things. And for me, having that passion and feeling fulfilled, if somebody walks in maybe with a terrible condition emotionally and then walking out completely changed, to perform that change work through knowledge just makes my day.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like a fulfillment that you can't get. It's like helping somebody. It's like when you help somebody and you get a feeling, it's
Chain reaction. Yeah,
I think it's a bit more powerful as well. When you know that you're helping somebody else's life, and even as well if they think that nobody can help them, but
massively. People just now, especially people with the pandemic, people don't know what's happening. The whole world's been turned upside down. Even lately, Facebook's not been working. WhatsApp yesterday, that'll ruin people's lives yesterday. Jesus Christ. Maybe go out and a wee walk in the garden, smell the fresh air instead. But there's a lot of people with a lot of problems just now, mentally. And even to be motivated to change, even to be motivated to get through the day in some cases. There's a lot of people that are stuck in their houses with anxiety, a lot of emotional issues. There's a lot of people even taking their life. I think things have been impactful.
Yeah. I think the last couple of years, mental health, depression, anxiety, suicide as well, it's through the roof. It's crazy. It's crazy, and it is really sad as well, because there has been a lot of people who haven't seen a way out, and they think, and then do taking their own life.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
Very sad.
And I think like stuff that you're doing, stuff that I'm doing, like this is why I've started this as well, is to get people on who've had experience or people that could get inspired to help themselves, and even if it is depression or even if it's just having a bad day and they want to have a seed to have a better day. And
exactly.
And there's a lot of things as well, like in Ayrshire and even Scotland and whatever else, that's doing a lot of things to help. So hopefully things do start improving. But I think definitely what you were saying about the pandemic and the lockdown, that made things a lot worse.
It's compressed people's mindsets, and if you compress something, then at one point there's going to be a wee mini explosion or whatever. So the fact that people don't know what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, if they're going to come out safe, people just don't know. So that uncertainty has created a lot of emotional states. And the biggest thing I think people could do is, certainly not sit and watch Facebook all day, but communicate with people and talk to people, maybe meet up for a coffee, voice what's inside, be more open. Don't kid on everything's okay, because when you look at social media, wow, that world is fantastic. Some people are living the dream. Wow. Most people that are living the dream are actually not putting on. social media. So more people need to learn from that and not be stuck on the need to get a like for this and whatnot. It's a really destructive mindset to fall into, and a lot of young people are in that trap. I get more and more young people, and they are obsessed with those notifications.
Yeah.
You know, get out, get a breath of fresh air in you, meet up with some good friends and talk to these good friends and be open.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think I'm maybe possibly like the kind of last generation where I was growing up without Facebook and social media,
Yeah,
and you would go out with your friends and you would only have a handful of photos,
yeah,
because it wasn't a massive deal. But now, what I think at the start with Facebook, it started with like Bebo and MySpace, and then it went to Facebook, and
yeah,
got really cool. But then I think it got to a point that it's just became an obsession where 99% of people wake up and the first
yeah.
thing they do when they check their phone is they check their Facebook.
I've got clients who have got such severe anxiety. They've been molded by social media in such a way that any negative comments or anything like that really impacts their moment of that day, and it can affect their whole day, in fact. And they're coming for treatment for this as well. So this is another level of anxiety.
Yeah,
Um,
especially last night, just with like myself, I'm trying not to be too immersed in social media.
yeah,
Most of the time I look at it, I look what if it's magic related or this or whatever else, and there was a couple of things that I needed to check, and I kept
yeah,
looking at my phone. But I could have waited to today to check, but I think it's just like a habit where
yeah,
being so used to it, it's like air. It's like,
completely. And the thing with that habit, especially with the pandemic, that again has been compressed as well. So people have been made, or there's not been as much to do. Therefore, social media has been their go-to. So this nasty habit's even nastier, I would say now. But again, if you're running a business and you require social media, then yes, you do need to check it.
yeah,
And there's so many other things that rely on the internet. There's a few big things going on, so who knows what's happening in the world. Fuel crisis, COVID, money's changing, everything's changing.
yeah. It's hopefully some of it is for the better, and
Yeah,
try and weed out the negative as well.
yeah.
But speaking of COVID and the pandemic, how was that for yourself in regards to the Wossobama? I know that was shut for months.
We were shut for about a year, to be honest, which was impactful. I know there was other businesses or other gyms that just kind of, kidded on. They were shut. We were shut. My staff were furloughed. We were furloughed. So that was impactful, definitely. You're still paying bills, and there was a very loyal section who continued to pay their monthly memberships, for which we are eternally grateful, because that saved the bacon. And we were paying bills. I mean, if you're keeping the building warm during the winter and paying electricity to heat a building that nobody's in, for me that was a difficult one. That was head off the wall banging. What's going on? And again, from a business owner's point of view, if Jim's been going since '97, and then a pandemic pops along, wow, that's a roller coaster for the mind there. It's a test, I think, of resilience, and a test of if you have a flexible mindset. People definitely require a flexible mindset now, so that they can deal with things in a more flexible manner.
Yeah,
Whether something's shut or something's open, or whether numbers go up so high that things close again, people need to have flexibility within the mindset. And that's what catches some people out, because they can't cope with that.
yeah, no, absolutely. And were you still doing the hypnotist during the pandemic? Could you do that online?
That's a good one. Yeah, well, that's exactly, because within what's happened and what I've been able to create, whether it was through conscious thought or subconscious or whatnot, I've now been able to create hypnosis through Zoom, which many hypnotists do this via online therapy through Zoom, which is equally as effective. When somebody's hypnotized, we're looking for somebody's micro expressions in the face or the chest, and just by breathing or their face changes or their eyes move, things process. People's eyes can be open, people's eyes can be closed whilst they're hypnotized. But equally online, if I can see somebody from kind of that area to that area, I can do my hypnotic work equally fine. So yeah, it's been really beneficial from that point of view.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And anyway, we did say that with social media and the internet, it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing as well. But I think if we had a pandemic 12, 13 years ago, I think it could have been worse, because we couldn't just go online and speak to friends or family or even businesses and stuff like that, and things.
It would have been a game changer from that point of view. I would certainly say some of the mainstream uses is maybe overly hypnotise the nation in certain ways. People are certainly scared now, or a lot of people are. There's certainly more fears in people's minds as well. So I think there's good points and bad points to it. But from a communication point of view, especially older people, and some of these older people who have been stuck in their houses or stuck in a nursing home, not being able to see family members at that time in their life, I think that was a massive issue.
Yeah, it is, and it's been really tough, especially with isolation and stuff, and not being able to see your family and those people that's went out to work and just seeing their workmates before they can even see their own family.
Exactly. It's an older person, if they're maybe in a care home or whatever. That certainly needed looked at. That was ridiculous.
Aye, it's and I think even a lot of the older generation really hurt hard as well.
Yeah, and many of them are not so good with Zoom. Many of them haven't heard of Zoom. No. So yeah, you need to come and switch that on for me. Well, guess what? I can't.
I know. Is this the controller for this out? As well, I think I thought was quite hard was I attended 2 funerals last year.
Yeah.
And it was quite hard, I think, because you couldn't really have a church service. There was only certain people allowed. The people for the council could only lay down the kind of coffin or whatever else. So not a
good way to go. Not being able to hold each other, that type of thing. Jesus.
No masks and stuff. And it's a really tough. It's been a really tough time, but let's hope that it's coming up. And I think it's just getting to a point where we just need to live with it.
I think we do. I think economically we can't afford to be in pandemics and lockdown and whatnot, and we just need to get on with it. Yeah. Make the most of it. Maintain that flexible mindset.
Exactly. Now, I've got one or two other wee things before we wrap all this up. It's been a fantastic interview so far. Now, what is next for yourself?
For me, I'm progressing with my hypnosis training. This is my 6th course that I'm on. So I've actually just finished. There's about 6. There was 500 lectures in it, but once you get so far up in the course, you get more course material released. So there's now 600 lectures roughly. So now I've completed 24 tests. Actually just completed one this morning. So I'm going to study for this the next few days and then sit my final exam, which is 100 questions. After that, I'm going to probably look at what's called graphology as well, and the study of handwriting, and that ties closely in with therapeutic work. So always some, yeah.
I know.
Basically, if you write a letter, normal handwriting, your subconscious, the last point of contact is the pen to paper. So as you write your letters, your subconscious, although you're maybe writing a little letter or whatever it may be, there's a lot of clues within the words, within the way that you write. You can tell somebody's self-esteem, self-confidence, other parts. You can tell a lot in somebody's handwriting. So I'm going to be studying that in the due course.
I've been very interested.
So, yeah.
Fantastic. Now, with everything that's been said in regards to Crossroads doing certain things, to the Wossobama gym, to hypnosis, what would be the main piece of advice that you would give someone that's watching this just now? What would be the main advice you think you could give somebody?
Quite simply, if you have a thought, for you to have a thought to become an action, you need the thought first of all, and then you need to action the thought. It's the same as if you have a seed of an idea of a seed. To make that seed grow, you might have 10 ideas, 8 of them might be rubbish, but 2 of them might be winners, or 1 of them might be a winner. So it's letting things go and having ideas. If you let ideas flourish, then they can turn into anything. But the thing behind that is having the motivation to do it. You know, a lot of folk quite like safety, so well, I don't want to do that just now because I've got safety where I am. If you get more of a flexible mindset, you can put your mind to anything. If you've got desire and you've got the will, you'll do it. Whether you're going to run a 10K, whether you're going to do the couch to 5K, whether you're going to run a marathon, an ultra marathon, whether you're going to start a business, whether you're going to have a successful week or even just a good day. Some people can have a successful day just by having a positive day and making it through the day. So success is measured differently, but having the motivation is the key. It's the key to 100 doors, definitely. Yeah. Motivation to change.
Definitely. Now, I've got one final thing. I've done this with all the guests, a wee bit of fun before we end this. It's a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
So, if you go to a restaurant, right, and you sit down, where would the restaurant be? What would you eat? And who would be 3 people that you would sit with? So these 3 people could be anyone you want. It could be family, it could be celebrities, they could be dead or alive. Food, whatever you want, and anywhere, any restaurant or any place in the world.
That would be quite easy for me. This goes back to staying in Fuerteventura. So we would spend Christmas Day 5 hours on the beach, doing some winter surf on the boogie board or the wetsuits, a bit of bodyboarding. Same at New Year. We did this for a few years. After that, we just pull on our dry clothes, still warm enough, so you'd have shorts and flip-flops on, and we would drive down to, we stayed near Coralejo in the north of Fuerteventura. So we would drive down to Caleta de Fuste, and we would go to, it's an Indian restaurant called Shivam, and we would have a plate of kebab. And it was chips, salad, and a mixed kebab, and it was €7.95, and you could hardly finish it. So that's where I would sit, and I would have a pint of beer with it as well. And the 3 people I would pick would be my wife and my 2 kids.
Awesome.
And I would go there tomorrow if I could.
It sounds like a better Christmas than mine.
But we did that for a few Christmases, and you just couldn't. The kids would go with their Santa hats down to the beach. It would be sunny. You'd spend maybe 4 or 5 hours. You'd take your baguettes down, which cost maybe €10 for your lunch. that would feed all of you, do your surf, play in the water, get a bit of sun, and then once you were knackered and you were hungry, then you just all jump in the car, put on your warm clothes. There's no way, you don't do fancy clothing over there. Everybody's a flip-flop lifestyle, so it's shorts, t-shirt, flip-flops, and then you go for your food. So there was many locations, many restaurants that you picked that were nice and reasonably cheap to eat. If the Spanish ate there, it normally meant it was good and cheap.
Awesome.
But, yeah.
And when you go back over?
We've not got a plan to do that because the house we had there, just with COVID and whatnot, we actually flipped a coin type of thing in our head and thought, let's see if this will sell. And within that thought pattern, I contacted the estate agent I'd bought it from 10 years ago. A guy and his family were coming out, and 3 weeks later, they bought the house.
Oh, right, okay.
So from a practical point of view, coming back over here for the kids, for their schooling, the schooling over there, I wouldn't say was as good. But yeah, one day, sometime.
Yeah. Well, you should get the fantastic memories, especially at Christmas.
Life experience is everything, definitely. If anybody wants a bit of advice, go and travel, go and get a bit of life experience. Don't get bogged down by credit cards and stuff that will make you in a stuck state. Go and experience life, and don't put it in social media, put it in your head.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, where can people find you, the hypnosis in the Wossobama gym?
Well, Wossobama gym is in Ayr, so that's 20 Wellington Lane in Ayr near the beachfront. Modern Hypnosis, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, so Modern Hypnosis by Alan Currie. Just send me a message there. And if anybody wants help, if anybody wants any motivation, if anybody any emotional issues that they want help with via hypnosis, then I'll even offer a discount, just a Hypno 40. If they're watching your video, that would get them half price. Instead of an £80 session, it would be £40. So long as they watch your video, Sean.
Oh, thank you very much. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
well, definitely. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Alan, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. And yeah, I just want to say again, thanks very much for coming on.
My pleasure, and thanks for inviting me. Good luck with the channel and push it hard.
Will do. Mindset.
That's it. Mindset is everything.
Definitely.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Not a problem. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. And until next time, take care. Take care, guys.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye, everybody.